what it is, and welcome to a new video. With the release of Ghostface in Mortal Kombat 1, there are now 4 characters that are in both Mortal Kombat and the very popular asymmetrical horror game, Dead by Daylight. And that is Freddy Krueger in Mortal Kombat 9, Leatherface and Alien from Mortal Kombat X, and the previously mentioned Ghostface from Mortal Kombat 1. So which one did them better? Let's find out by comparing each character based on how well they represent and utilize the original source material. We will go through the following categories. Design. Self-explanatory. Who has the most designs pulled from the movies and how accurate are they? Characterization. How well does this character's personality and story shine through the limited interactions they have, and how accurate is that personality or story? Gameplay. Does the way they play make sense for the feats and actions they have in the movies? And finally, of course, their finishing moves. How creative and brutal is it, and how fitting is it to the kills they have in the movies and to their character? For each category that I think either MK or DBD does better, they will get a point. And at the end, we'll add up all the points to see who overall adapts these horror characters better. So let's get started with the designs. Starting with Freddy Krueger, both of these versions of Freddy are based on the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street remake. So yeah, not really enthusiastic about either of them. They also both only have one design, being their default, though MK does technically have the alternate colors, which turns him blue, but that's not really based on anything, and it's kind of just random. So to compare these defaults, I do think I will give the edge to Dead by Daylight. They have just slightly better graphics, which is kind of embarrassing considering it came out 5 years after MK9, but this design does look a bit more like the movie, and the big thing is the glove. MK9 Freddy has 2 gloves because they couldn't figure out how to make the glove not have to flip hands when switching stances, so they just copied it over onto both hands. DBD Freddy is more accurate with the singular glove, so that'll be 1 point to Dead by Daylight. Moving on to Leatherface, immediately things get more interesting. Since there were variations in MKX, Leatherface does actually get multiple designs, and in Dead by Daylight, he has multiple cosmetics as well. Leatherface in DBD has the base design, the old lady design, and the pretty lady design, all of which are from the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. He also used to have some masks based off the original 4 survivors of Dead by Daylight, which were really cool in concept. In action, they were very problematic. In MKX, Leatherface has the base design, the pretty lady design that we just mentioned, and his design from the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, one of the very few horror remakes that are slightly better than pure garbage. Looking at the base design, DBD definitely has the edge in terms of accuracy, with MKX changing the colors a bit, making the undershirt green with a plaid pattern, and the apron more of a tan color, compared to DBD, which is pulled straight from the movie, with a tan undershirt and yellow apron. But in terms of variety, I give the slight edge to MKX since the old lady design isn't that sorely missed, and I think the remake outfit is a much better replacement and a great addition since that design is pretty good. So it comes down to what I value more, variety or accuracy, and I think the base designs are close enough to where variety just about beats it out, so I'll give the point to MK. Then we have Alien. This one is pretty easy. DBD actually has a decent amount of customization and cosmetic options for Alien, whereas even with variations, MKX has very little, with just the base Alien design, a Tarkatan one, and one with the Queen head design. DBD, on the other hand, has a Grid Xenomorph, Clone Xenomorph, the Queen, and a Blighted version. Some of these are taken from the movies, whereas some are original, but really, however way you look at it, it blasts MKX out of the water. Lastly, the most recent addition, Ghostface. And this is another example of variety versus accuracy because Mortal Kombat 1 has by far and away the more accurate base design, with DBD's Ghostface being an original character with an original design, whereas MK1 Ghostface is straight up Billy from the original Scream. But Ghostface in DBD has more cosmetics than I can even list here, and they are all very unique to each other and do a lot to change his design. Plus, he also has a classic costume himself, though I'd still say MK1's is a lot better. MK1 has options when it comes to cosmetics, but nothing to the extent of Dead by Daylight, though it's a nice touch that some of the masks are actually taken from DBD. This one is really hard, but I think I'm gonna have to give it to MK1. I mean, they have a fully modeled face for Ghostface with the actor from the original movie, and it's just gonna be hard to beat that out. So far, it's 2-2, even. But I think that's going to change with the next section, Characterization, starting with Freddy. These two are so boring. Their only lines of dialogue are laughing. Even in the limited lore they have, it's still boring. In DVD, he just chases Quentin until he just stumbles into the entity's realm. And for MK9, they just reuse his story from Freddy vs. Jason, with Shao Kahn being the Jason, taking all the souls that Freddy thinks are rightfully his, so he battles Shao Kahn and he gets pulled into the real world. It's very original, guys. I will give MK the edge when it comes to story, since at least they introduce a whole new realm just for Freddy, which has reappeared with Tremors ending in MKX, the Dream Realm. And I think I'm also just going to give the overall point to MK9 Freddy, since, I don't know, he shows a little bit more in like his fatalities and stuff in terms of personality. It's just, these two suck, okay? Then we have Leatherface. Leatherface, on the surface, seems like a hard character to get wrong, but if you really look into him, he has some complexities that separates him from your Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers of the world. The dynamic with his family, the fearfulness, the almost guard dog-like nature of how he attacks victims just gives him a little bit of edge that makes him a little more eerie to me than other slashers. And so what I'm looking for here is for one of these games to really showcase that within his story or just within the game itself. And if we look at the bios, it's not even competitive. Mortal Kombat doesn't even take Leatherface seriously, with his bio talking about Chile, a realm called Zonkura, and his family is now no longer the Sawyer family, but the Sawyer clan. What? DVD, on the other hand, makes it clear he kills out of fear of being hurt or disappointing his family, which is actually part of what fuels the entity to bring him into the realm after the events of the first movie, where a victim gets away. When it comes to personality within the game itself, there's not really much to take from. They both scream, they both make boar sounds, they both go in crazy spinny circles with their chainsaw, so DVD just wins based off the backstory alone. Then there's Alien. It's not really much to talk about here, is there? I don't have a personality. So I guess what I'll take from is that in Mortal Kombat, the alien spawns from Baraka, whereas in DVD, it's from Kane, an actual character within the movies, so I guess DVD just gets the point based off of that. Then we have Ghostface, a character with a lot of personality. Mortal Kombat is a lot more blunt with it. I mean, it's literally the character from the movies. Whereas with DVD, it has to do it in a lot more subtle and sometimes even unintentional ways to keep the essence of the original character, but also keeping this character that's original to Dead by Daylight's original. The biggest thing for me with Dead by Daylight is the crouching. It's not supposed to be something that's like funny or anything. It's just supposed to be like a gameplay mechanic to make him more sneaky and stuff. But the fact that Ghostface is the only character, the only killer in the entire game that can teabag is just perfection. The sound effects that play when you're using your power and you fully stalk someone, or they're looking at you, or they've revealed you or something, is also great as well. Though I think they could have done a lot more with his Terror Radius music. But I just don't think you can beat out MK1's Ghostface in this aspect. You have the multiple Ghostfaces, you have the sound effects and the fatalities and stuff, and most of all, the thing that really made this an obvious decision for me, the voice.
Do you like scary movies?
Roger L. Jackson's original iconic Ghostface voice just makes any attempt DVD has mean nothing if they don't also have the voice, which they do not. And, oh man, 2-2 again. 4-4. Still even. There's no way this video ends up as a tie, right? Let's see by moving on to the next section, gameplay, starting with Freddy. Both MK and DVD completely fumbled the bag with his character, and I don't even just mean in the gameplay, I mean overall, but specifically talking about gameplay, MK Freddy just does not make use of the various infinite amount of things the character should be able to do within the dream world, or realm in this instance. And the same thing is true with DVD, but somehow even worse. The coolest thing that he does is create fake palettes. And that's not even a base ability. I give it to MK since he can use his claws in more unique ways, plus he has that one move where he makes the green stuff fall from the sky and it makes the opponent fall asleep. Yeah, really scraping the bottom of the barrel here to get a winner out of these two, but let's just move on. With Leatherface, it's pretty even. Both use the mallet, both obviously use the chainsaw, so we're really gonna have to break these two down. With MK, he has 3 variations. One is focused on the mallet, one on his chainsaw, and the last one uses both as zoning weapons or projectiles. DVD has him mostly using his mallet and then sometimes taking out his chainsaw as his main power, which is kind of the opposite of how it is in the movies, but whatever. But DVD Leatherface does have the tantrum as an actual mechanic, plus the whole zoning thing with Leatherface and MKX just doesn't really make sense. Leatherface don't do that, so I'll give the point to DVD. Then we have Alien, and this is another hard one. DVD Alien has more use of the tail, the underground traversal, and the flame turrets, whereas MKX Alien, on the other hand, has the chest bursters, the acidic variation, and the ability to summon other aliens for help. But MK also has that weird Tarkatan variation, which can be looked at through 2 different lenses. One is that it incorporates the overall Mortal Kombat universe and characters in a way that's more accurate to how the character would be if they were actually within this universe. And the other is that it's just stupid and doesn't happen in the movies, so it's bad. Either way, it doesn't really matter because I'm giving the point here to MK. And the main thing for me is the chest bursters. The fact that Dead by Daylight could not find any way at all to incorporate the chest bursters is just baffling to me, considering how iconic they are. Then lastly, we have Ghostface, and this is a battle between the multiple Ghostfaces of Mortal Kombat 1 and the stalking and expose mechanic of Dead by Daylight. Both are really important aspects of the character, so it's hard for me to decide. In MK1, the main Ghostface, Billy, has the help of Cobra and Kira as the other Ghostfaces, giving them the moves they had in the 3D era games. I think this is kind of stupid, but maybe that's just because I don't really like Cobra or Kira, or maybe it's because having Matthew Lillard instead would have been peak. In DVD, Ghostface's main mechanic is removing his terror radius and stalking his victims from behind walls or crouching to make himself less visible, and then exposing them. Not in a weird way, to make it so that they go down in one hit. This is something you'll quite often see with Ghostface, especially in that first movie, where he'll just kind of pop out of nowhere and attack. Overall, I think what decides this one is which one makes you, the player, feel more like you are Ghostface. And while the multiple Ghostfaces is definitely a big aspect of his character, I think DVD's stalking system is a lot more immersive. Trust me, take it from me, a person who mained him for like 2 years. And well, look at that. 2-2 again, making it overall 6-6. Come on, we gotta have a winner. Let's see if we can find one in this last section. Hopefully we do, because then this would all just feel like a massive waste of time. We have the finishing move. For Mortal Kombat, that's the fatality, and for DVD, that's the Mori. And for my Mortal Kombat fans, which are going to be most of you, DVD's Mori is just a fatality. Like, that's it. It's just like any other fatality ranking video where you're comparing the different fatalities, which one's more fitting and which one's more gory and all that stuff. Just imagine it's like that. Don't imagine that it's me comparing 2 different games. It's all fatalities, all right? With Freddy, this one is a bit hard because DVD Freddy has a Mori directly ripped from the movie itself, a lot less gory, but still directly ripped from the movie, whereas MK has fatalities that aren't ripped from the movies, but are a lot more interesting. His first fatality, called Tell Him Freddy Sent Ya, is a reference to the Johnny Depp kill from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the better one. Not the worst thing Johnny Depp has had in his bed. Stop. That joke is overused. Then he has a fatality throwing you into a furnace, which is probably not a reference to anything other than maybe just his origin story of Freddy being burned in a boiler room. Since they do have at least slight references to the movies, I will give this point to MK, especially since that DBD Mori is generally considered one of the worst in the game, so yeah, that definitely gives it a little less merit. Then we have Leatherface, and they actually have a very similar kill, both involving Leatherface sawing you in half up the middle. In Mortal Kombat, it's from the front and actually saws them in half. In DVD, it's from the back, no diddy, and just doesn't. MK gets the point here. Plus, MKX also has a second fatality taken from Texas Chainsaw 3D, where he puts you up on a hook and saws you in half, but this way this time. Not this way. This way. Yeah. With Alien, again, they both have a very similar finishing move. In MK, the alien stabs you with the Baraka claws, lifts you up, and then blasts its little mouth thing through your head. In DBD, it stabs you with a tail and just does the same thing. I actually like the DVD one more here. But MK has a second fatality where the alien queen comes through and absolutely bodies the opponent, so MK wins again. Lastly, we have Ghostface, and you guys are probably already thinking that I'm just gonna give it to MK, and yeah, I will. But I actually do want to give a shout out to the Mori from DBD, since I think one-on-one, it would probably beat out both of these fatalities if the other fatality didn't exist, because I think it actually does more with less. But you just can't beat out two whole fatalities that still represent the character really well. And that'll do it. Mortal Kombat comes out clutch with the finishing moves section, getting it the win 10-6, which really makes it seem less close than it was. If you want to know the specific scores, they were for Freddy 3-1 MK, Leatherface 2-2, Alien 2-2, and Ghostface 3-1 MK. Dead by Daylight didn't win any of these, but let's not lie. This was extremely close, and a lot of those sections could have gone either way. Really, the only thing that gave MK that extra edge was that fatality section, which Mortal Kombat has been doing for over 30 years at this point, so there's really no shame in losing for Dead by Daylight and its fans. But maybe you guys disagree, and if you do, make sure to let me know what score you had in the comments down below. And while you're down there, make sure to check out the links in the description to my merch store, Twitter, and Instagram. Also give this video a like to show your support, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to know when I next upload. And with that being said, that's it for this video, my fellow oddities. I'll see you next time.